there is no evidence that the Iranian nuclear program has a military purpose. Iran says it wants to develop a nuclear energy program because its oil reserves are limited. It says it is exercising its right to enrich uranium and that it does not intend to develop a nuclear bomb, only nuclear energy. The United States and Israel fear there could be more to Iran's nuclear program than meets the eye.
In Iran, there are more than 30 to 40 sites. In those sites, some of them are extremely secretive, and many are underground. The main sites that we know of where the International Atomic Energy Agency has visited, and there are many other sites that they have not visited and do not know what's going on.
I know that there is a cooperation, a growing cooperation between the Israeli intelligence and other secret services from the region and from the international community, because the international community is very much concerned about what's going on with the Iranian nuclear programs.
In its May 2009 report, the International Atomic Energy Agency announced that Iran had significantly increased its production of enriched uranium.
The fact that until now no one has been able to prove that Iran has progressed towards nuclear weaponization is a success for the Islamic Republic of Iran. The statements made by the authorities in the Islamic Republic of Iran indicate that others are insisting, for different reasons, to keep the nuclear excuse alive.
It's obvious that neither Russia, nor anyone else for that matter, can stop the Iranian nuclear project, because it's a national issue. The spiritual leader, all the Iranian leaders, parliament and the government cannot stop any part of the Iranian nuclear project.
I
doubt very much that Iran will ever cross the red line. I think the Iranians feel very comfortable in the gray zone of ambiguity. They want to be very close to the threshold. But the decision to cross the threshold was not taken, not even by Ahmadinejad.
Iranian President Mahmoud Ahmadinejad may be playing a high-stakes game of nuclear brinksmanship. The West attempts to closely monitor Iran's nuclear program, with the United Nations passing resolutions urging Iran to curb its nuclear activities. Yet such scrutiny and diplomatic pressure stands in stark contrast to the international position on Israel's nuclear program. Ahmadinejad himself has made much of what he calls this nuclear apartheid, something many Russians would agree with.
The
Iranian nuclear issue is, in essence, linked to the Israeli nuclear project. Why is Israel beyond the scrutiny of international inspections and agreements?
It appears highly hypocritical of Americans to talk about a nuclear-free Middle East when everyone assumes there is a substantial nuclear arsenal in Israel which is never discussed.
Right-wing Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu believes Iran is an existential threat to Israel. For his part, President Ahmadinejad has increased Israeli fears and sparked international outrage by publicly questioning the Holocaust and the continued existence of Israel.
Israel feels directly threatened by Iran. And the speeches of the Iranian president haven't helped. But for several years, really going back to before the American invasion of Iraq, the Israelis considered Iran to be the greatest threat they faced, and they still do. They see it as existential.
Israel has recently been announcing that Iran is an existential threat to it. And Israel's nuclear doctrine has always been that they will not be the first to introduce those kind of weapons, nuclear weapons, or use them. At the same time, they are called weapons of last resort. Now, weapons of last resort against what? Against an existential threat.
As the mutual fear, mistrust and polarization increases, so does the arms race between Israel and Iran. Missile tests are becoming increasingly common, as are the sophistication and power of these weapons. In May, Ahmadinejad announced the successful launch of a new surface-to-surface missile called the Sejil-2. Iran says the new missile has a range of 2,000 kilometers, putting Israel and US forces based in the Gulf within reach. The missile represents a significant advance in Iran's rocket capabilities. Ahmadinejad hinted Iran is working on even more potent rockets. At the same time, Israel itself conducts more missile tests to counter and confront Iran's upgrades. One man who has been tracking the arms race is Abdullah Toukan, a former Jordanian Minister of Communications and a senior associate at the Center for Strategic and International Studies based in Washington, D.C. In light of growing speculation about a potential Israeli strike against Iran, he has produced a detailed report.
The Israeli scenario of launching a combat aircraft to go and bomb these sites or destroy them or let's say make them inoperable for a number of years is possible, but extremely difficult because it would require something of the order of 80 aircraft. Now these 80 aircraft have to fly all the way over to Iran and back. They have to refuel. So there are a lot of technical maybe obstacles or difficulties along the way. Israel has a number of aircraft. It has some F-15s that are configured specifically to go for deep strike, long-range deep strike, as well as the F-16s, and they have the name F-16I. And both of these aircraft are configured for particular deep strikes, as well as the F-16C, which is a long-range interceptor.
Toukan has considered the most viable routes which Israeli planes would need to take to reach the three main nuclear facilities in Iran. One route would start from bases in southern Israel, passing over northern Saudi Arabia and Iraq. A second route would mean Israeli bombers skirting along the Jordanian and Syrian border and then over Iraq. Toukan considers both these routes as unlikely, due to expected objections from the countries and the deployment of their air defense systems.
Which seems to be the most feasible one is the Syrian-Turkish borders. Around there, there's minimal air defense systems, there's no air bases close by, and so hugging that border between Turkey and Syria would be the most feasible area for them. It's a bit longer, but it's a place where they could actually fly in and out without having any difficulties.
In September 2007, Israel bombed a compound in northern Syria. Intelligence sources suggested the raid was on nuclear material supplied by North Korea. The Israeli Air Force deployed special Gulfstream aircraft to jam and disable Syrian radar systems. Israel most likely used American-supplied bunker-busting bombs that Israel would be likely to use against Iran, according to Abdullah Toukan.
These bombs, one of them explodes, opens away, and then the other one comes right behind it in the same area, in the same target point actually, to produce the impact and destruction. Iran, from the space imagery pictures that have been done and studied, it looks like Iran has deep bunkers underground and cemented to a couple of meters. So therefore they're hidden underground and they're big bunkers, and that is where most of the nuclear work is being done.